Today I'm going to talk to you about the theme of dreams in Of Mice and Men. It's an important theme because every character in the novel has a dream, something that they want to change in their life or something that they want to achieve. Now it's interesting that dreams are very different from ambitions, because an ambition is something that you can work towards and achieve through effort, but actually none of these characters is really doing that. Their dreams are just things that they talk about. The American dream was very popular in the 1930s, in the time of the Great Depression, when the novel is set, because people wanted to believe that with hard work they would be able to prosper and to build a better life for themselves. But you do have to wonder sometimes whether their dreams are just an escape from a reality that's just filled with hard work, with no real reward in prospect. Nowhere is this more evident than with George and Lennie, who dream of owning a little place and living off the fat of the land, and it's a dream that's repeated at least 3 times in the novel. When George tells it to Lennie at the very beginning, when we first hear it, he retells it in the bunkhouse to comfort Lennie, and then he retells it at the very end, just before Lennie dies. Lennie's very invested in the dream, and particularly in the idea that he gets to tend the rabbits. It's a child's job. It's a job that Lennie feels he can be trusted with. And George uses it very much like a reward for a child. He threatens to take it away if Lennie does a bad thing, and Lennie's greatest fear is that George won't let me tend the rabbits. They talk about the fact that they would have their own place where they belonged, not sleep in no bunkhouse. It's obvious that the thing about belonging is really important, that they own this place and that nobody could can them, nobody could make them leave, that they could choose their own guests, they could work when they wanted to, they could go off and see circuses and shows and things that come through. And it's about having a fixed place to belong and being safe there from being moved on. And the other thing that's really important about it is that they talk about if we put in a crop, why we'd be there to take the crop up. They're quite attached to the land, these itinerant farm workers, and the concept of the land being their own and their crops being their own rather than labouring for somebody else's benefit is really important. However, it is a dream, and at the point that Candy offers his money, we got this line that this thing they had never really believed in was coming true. And you realise that for all they talk about it, they've never actually expected it to really happen, and suddenly it becomes possible. And then at the end, when Curley's wife is dead and Lennie has fled, Candy asks George for that confirmation that they can still do it, just the two of them together. And George says, I think I knowed we'd never do her. He used to like to hear about it so much, I got to thinking maybe we would. George has almost talked himself into believing this dream, and it was a dream really that he had concocted for Lennie, and we realise that it's not going to happen. Curley's great dream is that he wants to be a great boxer. He's the son of the ranch owner, and when everybody else is dreaming about having a little bit of land, Curley's going to inherit quite a lot of land, so everybody else's dream is very much within his grasp. So he dreams of doing something different, something that distinguishes him as an individual, and maybe something that compensates for the fact that he's quite insecure. He worries about being small, and he worries about his wife, but if he could be a great boxer, it would all be wonderful somehow. So we hear that Curley's pretty handy, he's done a bit in the ring, he's a lightweight, and then we hear that he got into the finals for the Golden Gloves, so he's obviously boxed competitively. He got newspaper clippings about it. That's really telling, because not only does the fact that he's kept the newspaper clippings mean that being in the paper was important to him and he was quite enjoying the glory from it, but he's obviously shown them to people as well. Yeah. And then when Curley's hand gets crushed by Lennie, we hear from his wife that he ain't give nobody the good old 1-2 since he got his hand bust. And she's quite pleased about that, but I think it shows for us that Curley's dream is destroyed by Lennie. Curley's dream kind of comes to an end when Lennie crushes his hand, because it's unlikely that it's going to heal well enough for him to box again. And suddenly he stops boasting about what he's going to do to people. Candy has a dream of being safe in his old age. He knows that they're going to can him pretty soon. I think it's 4 years since he lost his hand, and he's an old man, and pretty soon he won't be able to swamp out any more bunkhouses. And putting his life savings towards George and Lennie's dream suddenly makes it possible. What does Candy lose at the end of the novel? He loses hope, because he's an old man. He says he won't get any more jobs. He says, maybe if I give you guys my money, you'll let me hoe in the garden even after I ain't no good at it. That's hope, and that's trust in George and Lennie's goodwill, because the idea that his money would make him secure and that he wouldn't have to have anything else to contribute makes him safe when he's old and decrepit. Then it's all off, Candy asked sulkily, and you can see there's something of the disappointed child in Candy in the use of the word sulkily when Lennie has left the ranch and we know that it's not going to happen. But Candy actually weeps for it. Candy's eyes are blinded with tears, and he goes weakly out of the barn, rubbing at his bristly whiskers with his stump, and that just highlights his age, his disability, his absolute disappointment. Crooks dreams of equality. Crooks dreams of the acceptance he knew in his childhood and of being somewhere like his father's chicken ranch. And we know that Crooks once lived the dream that everybody else wants. He was brought up on a little chicken ranch, just pretty much like the one that George and Lennie want. And he talks about the white children who used to come and visit and the fact that his father didn't like it, but he didn't understand why. Now he wants to recapture that. He wants to share George and Lennie's home, George and Lennie's dream. He mocks at it for a while, but he secretly shares it. So he says that every damn one of the men who's ever come through the ranch has got a little piece of land in his head, and never a goddamn one of them gets it. And then Candy and Lennie convince him that they might. And his response is, if you guys would want a hand to work for nothing, just his keep, why I'd come and lend a hand. As soon as it looks like being a reality, he drops the pretense of not being interested, and he wants in on it. But once Curley's wife has been in and put him back in his box and told him that his word is worth nothing, he backs out. Remember what I said about hoeing and doing odd jobs? Just forget it. I didn't mean it, just fooling. I wouldn't want to go no place like that. He immediately backs away from the dream and wants nothing more to do with it because he knows that realistically it's not for him. Curley's wife, who we've just talked about, had her own dream, and her own dream is actually over before the novel even starts. Her dreams were of being an actress and being famous and beautiful, and she's very keen to tell Lennie, I tell you I could have went with shows, not just one neither, and a guy told me he could put me in pictures. This shows, I think, that she's quite naive, because we know these are just chat-up lines. Nobody was ever going to really make a Hollywood actress out of her. But she believed it, or she wanted to believe it. I could have made something of myself. Could have been in the movies and had nice clothes, all them nice clothes like they wear, and I could have sat in them hotels and had pictures took of me. This shows me how superficial she is. All she knows about Hollywood is the superficial glamour, and it's all the sort of the glory that comes after making a film and after a film being a success. She doesn't know anything about hard work. She just wanted the pretty bit. It didn't happen, so I married Curley. I don't like Curley, he ain't a nice fellow. Well, we could have told her that. But the sad thing here is that this is her second dream shattered. The happy ever after that comes with marrying Prince Charming really isn't happening with Curley. And that's us for the theme of dreams.